DTV explores the sport of pigeon racing and brings you amazing facts. Hi, welcome to DTV.
Thank you very much for having me.
What is pigeon racing?
Pigeon racing is purely it's God's little gift or animal that races. In the Qing dynasty, which is the Chinese, they flew pigeons 600 years ago, 700 years ago, and in Europe it started about 150 years ago. So what actually happens is they use the pigeons that you will know in the World War for communication purposes. So my great-grandfather actually managed the pigeon loft in Egypt. So lieutenants would come to him and he would actually give them 2 pigeons to go to the battlefield, and if something happened they would release the pigeon with a message. It would fly back to the loft, and that was the form of communication. And so it's obviously developed from there. South Africa specifically developed from Europe and the UK in specific. And what happened there is actually the miners, the UK was a mining industry, and the miners used to drink terribly. And what happened is the mine captains started introducing pigeons to the miners to keep them at home, because pigeons is the only sport you can actually do at your home.
Shortly explain how a race works.
My home and your home are 2 different locations. And the cameraman's home is in a totally different location. So what we do is, at my home we do a longitude and latitude. We now know tomorrow morning we're liberating the birds in Bloemfontein at 7 o'clock. So at the truck where the birds are liberated, they also take coordinates. So we now know from the liberation point to my loft, it's 350 kilometers. You stay further, so it's 360. The cameraman's even further, it's 380. We know the birds are liberated at 7 o'clock. The birds all fly back. My bird to my house, your bird to your house, and his bird to his house. When the bird arrives, he has an electronic ring. And as he arrives, there's an electronic pad. And when he walks over the electronic pad, his time is captured. What time he arrived. We then take time over distance, and we get meters per minute. So the bird that covered the distance the quickest is the winner.
What is the distance of the different races?
Our first race point starts at 250, 260 kilometers, and that will go up to 400 kilometers. That is short distance. Middle distance is from 400 to 600 kilometers, and our long distance races is from 600 to about 950 kilometers.
How do pigeons find their way home?
A bird actually has magnets in his beak, and what he does is he picks up the magnetic fields. So when you're homing at his specific home, he's picking up the coordinates, if you can put it that way. He's picking up that magnetic field that he lives in. He also uses the sun. He uses landmarks, for example, mountain ranges or buildings or roads, road structures. He also uses sight. A bird can see 50 kilometers on a clear day. And then the most important is his olfactory, the smelling, the ability to smell. A pigeon can actually smell 900 kilometers. He can actually smell the area. So using all of these different factors, he uses that to actually navigate back to his home.
What is the average speed at which pigeons fly?
The wind plays a huge factor when it comes to pigeons. So if it's a headwind, the birds will go lower, and they'll drop obviously in speed. They'll go down to about 60 kilometers an hour. They won't generally go under 60 kilometers, even if the wind's blowing 20, 30 kilometers an hour against them. When it's a tailwind, the birds climb to altitude. They're very, very clever. They know that the wind pockets at the top are much stronger than at the bottom, and then they can reach speeds up to 140 kilometers an hour. Our average speed, racing speed over a season is about between 70 and 90 kilometers an hour.
How does racing generate income?
In racing pigeons, it's all about genetics. So a bird that's won various races all of a sudden has a value. Why? Because people want to buy from that bird. They want to buy the genetic lines, introduce it to their lofts to improve their birds and their birds' ability to be able to win. So by means of breeding these birds and selling them, we sell the offspring. Obviously we have an income, and then obviously competing, like the $1 million race where we won the $1 million race in 2011, there's prize money involved.
What do you look for in a well-bred pigeon?
A good pigeon will have a very strong wing. He'll have a certain wing structure. He'll have certain body muscles and certain positions. He'll have a very, very strong back, because obviously he needs that in flight. So yeah, there are things. We look into the eye, we look into the muscles of the eye, we look into the throat, the formation of the throat. So there's various things that we have identified over a period of time that a very good pigeon has. Although you do get the exception to the rule. You'll all of a sudden get a bird that doesn't have a good wing but still wins. We cannot see inside their brains, and we cannot determine what makes them so keen to get home.
Tell me about their diet.
Now, if you think of a guy preparing for the comrades, he'll do protein loading, he'll do carb loading, he'll make sure he's perfectly healthy from a breathing point of view, and just like that with pigeons. On short distances, we'll feed them less and a different type of diet. On the longer distance, they will get proteins and a lot more food, because obviously they have to compete over 800 or 900 kilometers. So the diet is very specific. We measure the food 100% that they don't get overweight, because it doesn't help that the bird's overweight when competing. So yeah, it's a very important element in a pigeon.
Hi, welcome to DTV.
Baie dankie dat ek hier kan wees.
Do you get to travel a lot?
Nogal baie, veral as ons die duiwe vat om te oefen. Ons gaan baie keer na funksies toe of veilings in Bloemfontein, Kroonstad, Kokstad, Ventersburg, noem dit, ons is oral in Suid-Afrika.
How does the well-being of pigeons and their success influence Mark's mood?
Wanneer Mark by die huis kom in die middag en hy het 'n vreeslike stresvolle of 'n uitdagende dag gehad, dan stap hy in sy duiwehok, hy hanteer die duiwe, ag dis nie 5 minute nie, dan sê hy 'n ander mens. Hy is baie, baie lief vir sy duiwe.
How do you know he loves you more than his pigeons?
Hoekom is hy liewer vir my as die duiwe? Ek dink dit is obvious. As ek vere gehad het, dink ek ook in die hok geslaap. Maar ten minste slaap ek in my eie bed.
I believe you and a partner have paid 5 million rand for one pigeon.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, you know, but at the end of the day, it was the best performing bird in Belgium. Belgium is the home of pigeons, where most of the birds that are performing get sold. And this bird specifically, based on his performances, actually raised everybody's eyebrows, because he just did what was impossible. So from a genetic point of view, again, we invested in those genetics. And obviously there were underbidders all over the world that also wanted to buy him. We were very fortunate, I believe, to get him for 5 million. Our market lays in Europe. So to leave him in Belgium, where he can breed in Belgium at people where everybody can handle him and can buy the babies, is much more, it's much safer for us. It makes business sense. Everybody that wants to buy top birds fly to Pipa and handle the birds. So you can imagine when he arrives, he can handle the bird and then immediately order the babies. If he's in South Africa, he's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and 5 million rand is a lot of money for other people, but for us, if you look at the return on investment, the bird will earn us a lot of money over a period of time.
What makes this specific pigeon so special?
We have what we call national races and international races, and he performed at the highest level and competing against thousands of pigeons. So coming first every time back to the loft, and then obviously winning in the loft, winning in the club and the federation, he then became very, very popular, and based on that, we paid 5 million rand for him.
What do you plan to do with the profit?
We do a lot of donations, we do a lot of sponsorships. We've recently built a pigeon loft at Zwazirenike at a school where we're introducing kids to pigeons and pigeon racing. I don't know if you know, there was a channel, Discovery actually did a survey where they proved that boys between the age of 10 and 14 that actually work with birds are totally different to their wives and to their mothers. They have a softer side to them. So I think it's very important that we introduce the sport to other kids and to people at large. And then obviously we have a very old community of pigeon fanciers that don't have the funding, and so we help them. So the bird's going to add huge value to many people's lives.
The National Council of SPCAs are concerned that many birds disappear during training and racing and are exposed to predators, bad weather and other dangers. Your response?
We love our pigeons. So they get better care in the lofts than what they would get outside the loft, whether they were in the wild. If we look at predators, obviously hawks, we get meerkats that actually catch them in flight. I mean, these things are natural and it's part of life. So when a bird hits a wire, for example, and is killed, he will obviously fall to the ground and will have other animals feeding on him. So that's all part of life. So the SPCA, they don't quite understand our sport. They don't quite understand the effort that we put in and the love that we put in. I mean, I've got hens in my loft that actually want to pair up with me. That's how tame they become. They become part of the family. I know every single pigeon by character. They all have individual personalities. And these are the things I cannot teach the NSPCA. So I think they're misinformed. They don't understand. And let me tell you something. If a bird goes missing, it will go into another loft. That's where it goes. It won't go and sit on a roof. It goes into another loft because that's what it knows. And we have these tags with numbers on and organizations. We then get contacted and they go and fetch my pigeon.